Okay, now before we begin, I need you to look around you, and I want you to ensure that you've got all your equipment. You've got your pen, you've got your ruler, you've got your pencil, and you've got a book. So I need you to look around you, okay? Pause the video and do that. Okay, are we fully back? Brilliant. Now, what I need you to do is to write the date, okay? And I know I'm going to give you the LO in a second, but before I give you the LO, I need you to do your retrieval questions. These are just 3 questions. I'm just going to give you under 3 minutes, okay, to answer it. If you can also do the challenge question, what does an evolutionary tree show? That will be amazing. So I'll give you 3 to 4 minutes, okay? So pause the video and answer the question. Alright, are you done? Brilliant. So the first question is asking, what is classification? Make sure you've got your green pen. Remember, green pen is used for you to correct your mistakes and to mark your work. This allows you to know where you've gone wrong, and it also allows you to know what you've done right, okay? So the first question is asking, what is classification? Now, classification is the arrangement of organisms into groups based on their features, okay? Did you get that right? If you did, job well done. If you haven't, that is fine. Just make sure you write this down, the right answer, okay? Now, the second question is asking you, what is the order of classification? Now, here's the order. We've got kingdom, we've got phylum, we've got class, we've got order, we've got family, we've got genus, and we've got species. That is actually the order, okay? Did you get that right as well? Job well done to you if you've got it right. If you mixed up the order, that is fine. Just make sure you use your green pen to correct that. Alright? Now, question 3 is asking, what 2 parts of classification order make up the scientific name? Okay? Think about that. It's actually the genus and the species. They make up the scientific name. Normally, when it's written down, the scientific name, you realize that it's written down in italic form, okay? Like I said, it's made up of genus and species. Alright, the challenge question, what does an evolutionary tree show? I'm wondering how many of us have actually attempted this question, okay? Now, evolutionary tree shows how closely related things are. Now, and quite an example is the fact that right now you could actually look at your family tree, okay? You can go to familytree.com or historytree.com where it actually shows you people that are related to you. So it's quite similar when we look at evolutionary tree. It's how closely related things are. Now, for example, we and banana share 50% of DNA. How amazing is that? Alright? So evolutionary tree is how closely related things are. So how many of us got everything right? Job well done to you. And for those of you that didn't get everything right, that is fine. Just make sure you correct that mistake. Alright? Brilliant. Now, our LO, we are looking at communities. Okay? Now, the learning objective is to understand how organisms interact with a community. So I'd like you to actually pause the video and write down the LO like we always do. Okay, can we move on? Brilliant. Now, hopefully by the end of today, we can state what an ecosystem is, okay? And we should be able to explain the terms interdependent and stable community. Now, the second one, we might be able to do that in the next lesson, but let's see how much we can cover in this lesson with understanding. Now, starter, what do you think the word community means? I want you to say it out loud what a community is. I can't hear you. Yes. Community, group of people living in an area. So my next question for you is, do you think they're all the same group of people? No. Let's look at Moston area, for example. We've got different people. We've got the young, we've got the old, we've got the pets, we've got some teachers, we've got some doctors, we've got some lawyers, we've got some engineers, we've got different group of people living in a community. So now in terms of biology, community is all different plants and animals living in a specific area. For example, species living in the ocean, living in a forest. When we look at the oceans, we can talk about the seaweed, we can talk about the fish, the shark, the dolphins, okay? The seals, we can mention quite a number of things, the octopus. And then if you look at the rainforest or just the forest, well, there are different animals you can find in the forest, okay? You can have the parrot, you can have the tiger, the lion, the leopard, the panther, all right? Different animals in a specific area, both animals and plants, all right? Now, I believe you should have this in front of you as well, okay? I believe in the resources you've been sent, you've also have these matching activities. I'm just going to give you roughly 2 minutes to actually match up the activity, okay? So pause the video and carry out that task. All right, are you done? Brilliant. Now, I need you now to bring a green pen. This is the time when we use a green pen to mark and make corrections. Now, the question is asking, what is a community? Now, like we said, a community is all different plants and animals living in a specific area. So, what is an ecosystem then? Now, an ecosystem is the interaction, now that's important, the interaction of a community with non-living parts of the community. So I repeat that. Ecosystem is the interaction of a community with the non-living parts of their community. All right? Now that's a very, very interesting concept. Now, what is interdependence then? Interdependence is when two or more organisms depending on each other for survival. So this is like a symbiosis, okay? So we've got two or more organisms depending on each other for survival. Although there are different ways it can be interdependence, okay? All right? And we're going to look at that in further detail. Now, the next one is habitats. Now, I hope you do understand the meaning of habitats, okay? Habitats is the place where an organism lives, all right? And the next question, what is a competition? When different members of an ecosystem compete for the same resources. For example, food. For example, water. For example, space. All right? Now, and the last one, what is a population? A population is when two or more organisms, no, population is actually the total number of one species in an ecosystem. For example, in the UK, we carry out census, okay? They count the number of people that live in an area, all right? That is how we're able to know the number of people, the number of children, the number of adults, the number of really, really old people as well. So, census, okay? So, population, the total number of one species in an ecosystem. So, how many of us got everything right? You did? Well done. Job well done. And so, those of you that didn't get everything right, that is fine, okay? What is important for you is to actually correct your mistake and learn from it, okay? Can we move on? Well done. Now, let's look at competition. Like we defined earlier, competition is when two or more individuals strive to obtain the same resources when there are short supply, okay? The more similar the individuals are, the more intense the competition, all right? Now, let's try and do a mini mind map and think about what animals compete for, okay? Try to do a mind map in your book, okay? And write down the few things you think animals compete for. Are you done? Brilliant. So now we know that animals can compete, like we said earlier, for food, for water, for space, for territory, for leadership, for power. Okay. And interesting enough, they compete for mates. Yes, for a partner, a sexual partner. Now, we've got a very, very interesting animal called, a type of bird called blue tit. And this particular bird, okay, in order to impress the female bird, they try to pick as much blue substance as possible, okay? It picks up as much blue substance as possible, and it's all to impress the female bird, okay? So there's a lot of ways by which animals compete, okay? Sometimes for power, for food, for mates, all right? Now, what about plants? What do you think, what are the things plants compete for? You're going to be wondering, oh, do plants actually compete? But yes, plants do compete, okay? So, yes, they do compete for sunlight, okay? They compete for water, okay? Sometimes what is interesting about some plants is you can see them actually leaning towards the sunlight, okay? It's competition, okay? Imagine so many trees in this land, they all have to compete for water, okay? Does that make sense? Brilliant. Now, although plants and animals are in constant competition with each other, what's interesting is plants and animals in an ecosystem also rely on each other for survival. Without having each other, they cannot survive. All right? They cannot survive. Okay? Now, this is actually called interdependence. Okay? Where plants and animals actually rely on each other to survive. All right? Brilliant. Can we move on? Good. Now, the question is, how do you think this picture shows interdependence? I want you to think for a bit, few seconds, 5 seconds. How do they relate? Have you done that? Brilliant. Now, what I need you to do is to look at the screen, right at the screen, and I need you to say it out loud so I can hear you how they actually show interdependence. 1, 2, 3, and go. I want to hear you say it. Brilliant. Well done. That is really good. Okay. Now let's look at it again. We've got the caterpillar. The caterpillar eats up the plant. Okay. Actually, let's start from the plant. The plant gains its energy from the sun. All right. Now the caterpillar feeds on the plant to survive. Now the frog feeds on the caterpillar. Probably a bit on the plant as well. And interesting enough, the snake feeds on the frog. So can you see the chain of dependency? Okay. The snake depends on the frog depends on the caterpillar depends on the plant, and the plant depends on the sun. So let's now look at it now. If there's not enough food for the frog, okay, and so many frogs died, what's going to happen to the snake? Yes, the snake is going to starve because there's no frog, because the frog have died, all the frogs have died of starvation. Is that making sense? Brilliant. Now, look at this big picture now. This is actually a massive chain of interdependence. Okay, have a look, pause the video, and have a think. Brilliant. Now, what I want you to do is to actually write it down in your book. And in the next lesson, we're going to talk about some of these things in detail. All right, we're going to cover the next stage of the topic. I do hope you've enjoyed this session of the lesson. Okay, make sure you look at your educake, okay, where your homework is, your assignments, and make sure you send an email if you do not understand anything. All right, have a brilliant day. Bye bye.